Hi, I'm Nan Simonson, and I am so glad you're here. I'm doing a series of 12, I'll call them talks, but they're also part of a effort to connect with people who want to connect. Because in this series of PowerPoints, points of interest that relate to lifestyle as medicine, I'm doing a 20-minute information talk based on 12 pillars of health that I cover in my book, actually 10, and then there are a few other things we'll talk about. My book, Aging Powerfully, is a effort that I took on 2 years after beginning, almost 3 years after beginning as a health coach with the practice in Riverside, California, where I live, run by Dr. Wayne Dysinger, one of the founding members of the College of Lifestyle Medicine, and he took me on as a health coach. And so after years of watching patients get better and then seeing my own total recovery from an eating disorder that happened before I even began with him, I thought, nah, I've got something to say. So powerfully, and I'm 72 now, so aging powerfully was something I was thinking of even as I turned 70. Those 10 letters will be broken down into training sessions. For example, the P was purpose. We talked about that. It's on YouTube. O is others, community. It's a big part of the pillars of lifestyle medicine as outlined by the College of Lifestyle Medicine. W is whole food, plant-based. We covered that last week. And when I say covered, I can't cover anything that in depth in 20 minutes, and I'm giving myself 15 to 20 minutes. And then the group that gathers sort of in the background right now has a chance to talk, and the recording goes off. Today is E, powerfully, Power. And the E is for exercise. It's for movement. And I'll give you an outline of why that matters and give you some suggestions that can hopefully help you. And we will go on for 12 weeks of these meetings. The last couple will be a way of kind of consolidating it all. And I'm glad you're here, whether you're watching and we're going to have a chance to chat at the end on our Zoom, in our Zoom gallery, or whether or not you're watching this on YouTube at another date. So from Aging Powerfully, I'm looking at the chapter on exercise, and I want to read you something. When it comes to health and well-being, regular exercise is about as close to the magic potion as you can get. That was Thich Nhat Hanh. He was a Vietnamese monk who passed away in the last year, is it? And I believe he passed away in his 90s. And then another truism: the doctor of the future will give no medicine, but will involve the patient in a proper use of food, fresh air, and exercise. Who wrote that? Thomas Jefferson. I went on to say, what do a Vietnamese Buddhist monk and the father of invention have in common? Clearly, they know that our bodies are meant to move. We cannot have health nor well-being without exercise, which we define in lifestyle medicine as movement. Dan Buettner, who wrote The Blue Zones, and with the backing of National Geographic's, highlighted the 5 longest living communities in the world, one of which is in America, only one, 15 minutes from my home, and that is the Loma Linda, California community of Seventh-day Adventists. He says, and I think this is important because sometimes people think, well, I don't do that, or I don't know how, or I can't make myself exercise. Well, longevity all-stars don't run marathons or compete in triathlons. They don't transform themselves into weekend warriors on Sunday mornings. Instead, he says, they engage in regular, low-intensity physical activity, often as part of their daily work routine. Movement, living life on the go, bypassing conveniences for full involvement. So what do we what do we mean when we talk about exercise? There is a guideline, a parameter that's put out there by the World Health Organization, by a number of our national organizations, and it is that we move vigorously. Now, he says it doesn't have to be vigorous. Well, vigorously enough to know you're moving, not just a slow saunter, even though a slow saunter would be much better than sitting or lying down. But the guideline is at least 150 minutes per week. What does that break down to? That is about, well, I would say 30 minutes a day. That's a nice round number, 30 minutes a day. And what does that mean? All at once? Not necessarily. And does that mean that you have to count it painfully and just be so glad when you finish? No. As a matter of fact, know that, use that as a parameter, but then put it out of your head and say to yourself, I want to find activity that I love so much that I forget to count time. I'll use myself as an example. I have all of my life, and I'm not sure why, because I don't believe that exercise makes you thin or makes you lose weight. It's eating well. It's balancing your whole foods that are plant-based, in my case, that makes staying trim really easy, because that's what a whole food plant-based diet, not having processed foods, eating as close to nature as possible, that fiber fills you up. The carbohydrates are nature's antidepressant and appetite suppressant. So that's another subject. That was last week. But what I will say is that I don't believe that we exercise to lose weight. You could exercise for an hour and barely use up the calories of a big apple. So don't think of it that way, although it does matter, because it does energize your metabolism and you get a burn from that stays longer than just that one activity. But instead of thinking of it that way, think of something you love to do. Well, one of the things I've always loved to do was get out of the house first thing in the morning and take a walk, either a walk or a run. I began running at 70. I was never, ever a runner. Signed up for a 10K race at a place called the Mission Inn here in Riverside. And I was so full of myself because I was aging powerfully. I thought, I'm going to do this. And then I told people, and then what was I going to do? I had to do it. So there's a thing, and you could do this. You can find it. Couch to 5K, couch to 10K, couch to marathon.com. And it walks you through steps to get ready for something like that. Well, I told people I'm going to run a 10K, and it's on October 24th. And I decided that in July of that year, a 70-year-old, and I did it. And I was in the top 4 of my ranking. Well, probably there were only 5 of us that showed up. And I signed up for the next one that was coming up. That was at a place called the Citrus Heritage Park. About 4 months later, I was number 2. That's because there was hardly anybody there. That didn't matter. I was able to run 6 miles because I learned how to do it. And then the next time the Mission Inn did a run, it was in October, and that was last year, because we had the COVID interruptions, but that was last October, end of October, and I ran a half marathon, 13 point, what is that, 1 or 2 miles. That's not the point. The point is you can start anywhere and take it anywhere that you pull yourself to. I was pulled to do that run because I decided I'm going to run, and then I had to do it because I said I would, and I was pulled to run longer every day. I was pulled to learn how to do it. You can do the same thing, but prior to that, and what I had said earlier, is all my life I loved getting up and walking 30, 40, 50 minutes, an hour, and it was my way of looking for experiences. I'd go out and think, how many cats am I going to see today? We go out in the evenings and walk, and I think, who am I going to see, or what am I going to see that I didn't see yesterday? Or because I've always loved gardening, what am I going to see in their lawns or whatever in their gardens? Okay, so think of a thing whatever that is. And I'll give you some suggestions. I'll give you some thoughts. Think of a thing that would move you. Maybe, well, I'll give you those suggestions in a minute, and decide to yourself that you're going to find a thing you love to do that pulls you forward every day. You could find a friend that does it with you, and that makes it even easier, because you don't want to let that friend down when you're having a puny day and thinking, oh, I don't know if I want to do that now. Does it matter to your health? Because as I said, it's not the reason that you don't exercise to lose weight. You don't exercise to get a beautiful body, but you can. If you know anything about resistance training, you can really get some nice shape going. But some people feel that's too long-term and it's not enough to inspire them, but maybe this will. In the Alzheimer's solution, doctors Dean and Aisha Sherzai, this power couple, both neurologists here in Loma Linda, California, both MDs, explained that exercise is crucial for long-term brain health. More specifically, they argue that both aerobic and resistance training are remarkably effective at protecting the brain against age-related decline, including the possibility of reversing the symptoms of early Alzheimer's. We think in terms of our body being fit. What about our brain? One of the things that they say in their book, The Alzheimer's Solution, is that one of the most important muscles that you have for brain health are your thighs, your glutes, your thigh muscles, because they're the biggest. The thigh muscles are the biggest in your body. You want them to be strong. You want them to work well. You run upstairs, you walk, you use them because they pump the blood more than any other up to the brain and keep the brain circulating with fresh oxygenated blood, which is good for your brain health and to help move things through it, like getting rid of the amyloid plaque, those dead and dying cells that you want out of there to be refreshed by new ones. Dr. Dean Ornish, who wrote Undo It, one of our seminal books on lifestyle as medicine, emphasize that exercise will help you live longer and be happier and have more vibrance in your life, balance and joy, as I read it in my book, or write it in my book. Sit less, move more. What things can you do, for example, at home? How about when you're on the phone, stand up and walk around rather than sitting down when you're talking to somebody? Do household chores that involve standing, ironing, watching TV, and do them standing rather than sitting. Stand and read the mail, magazine articles, emails at work. Stand as often as you can during breaks and allow yourself no more than 30 minutes sitting time between some kind of a standing break. Stand to greet visitors or when you're talking on the phone. Drink more water so that you have to go and get refills, so that you also have to get up and use the restroom. Move items like trash cans, filing cabinets, printers, etc., out of reach to encourage standing. Consider a standing desk. You know, my husband did that. He's a CPA and tax attorney. And he, when he's not with clients, has an office next to his that has a standing desk and has a treadmill. So he'll work walking slowly at his stand-up desk at the computer so that he has a way of getting a break from the sitting that he could otherwise do all day long. Stand at the back of a room during presentations so that you're not interfering with anyone else's view, but you have the excuse to kind of walk around and move your body. Eat your lunch away from your desk, preferably a distance that you have to walk to. Walk during lunch and during breaks if you have a chance. And when out and about, these are some things I always do. Park your car at a distance from the destination. Plan regular breaks during long car rides. Use public transportation in order to walk to and from stops. Now, in some areas of the country, that makes sense. In some areas, that doesn't apply that well. And then finally, what counts for exercise? I'm going to give you a page full of ideas. Grab a pen, a pencil, and write down something you can see yourself feeling, let's say, energized by. Add more to your everyday movement. Take stairs whenever you have a chance. Do 2 at a time. If you're strong enough, start out by holding on to rails so that you don't have a wobbly gait and might twist a knee. Always choose the back parking lot spot when pulling into a parking lot. It gives you an excuse to do a bit of a romp with the cart to the store, and sometimes even back. I literally do that at Costco's. I kind of romp with the cart. Why not? Take a brisk walk. Walking your dog counts here. Ride your bike. That's the thing I'm doing when I have something like the sore knee I have right now. I twisted a knee doing a side lunge, and it's been quite a problem. It's lasted longer than I expected, but I can ride my bike without pain. So I ride instead of my 45-minute walk or hour walk up the nearby mountain. I'll still do that when it's not too sore, all wrapped up, but I'll ride my bike on those other days. So have a number of things you can do, even sitting in a chair, using soup cans as resistance, rather than thinking you can't move a body part because one isn't working that well. Swim, play tennis or golf, use bands, weights, or your own body to do resistance training. How about when you brush your teeth? At least every other day, use the sink counter to do standing push-ups just to keep your shoulders and arms strong. If you make a rule, I do this every other day, no matter what, I'll do 30 of them or 40 of them. That's just standing and leaning on the counter and doing a push-up. You can get yourself to get exercise then that you wouldn't even, well, barely remember you did, because it becomes habitual. Even if it's as simple as doing squats while you're squeegeeing the shower. I literally do that. I squeegee my shower and I can get in 30 squats as I squeegee from top to bottom. Join a yoga group on Zoom or take a class. Consider chair aerobics. Create a garden and then care for it regularly. Join a walking group. Enter a walk or a run. I gave you my thoughts on that one. Visit a local botanic garden. Walk to the store for your favorite piece of fruit or a cup of coffee. Turn on some lively music and dance till you drop. Fly frisbees with whomever will play. Plan a walking meeting with workmates or friends. Take a dance class such as tap, ballet, salsa, or swing, and enjoy your new skills. In the heat of the summer, have a cool water, have a water balloon fight to cool off. Master a jump rope routine. Pull out your old hula hoop or buy a new one. Join a sports team. Make date night an active one with miniature golf, laser tag, or dancing. Enjoy a trampoline. Minis are fun too and very popular. Go camping and then hike the trails. Even engaging in isometrics count here. Squeeze those butt cheeks, hold and release and relax. Actually, anything that you enjoy doing that involves sustaining movement counts. Remind yourself to move it or you'll lose it. And I also want to give you a recommendation. We all spend time on social media. If you go to YouTube or just on Google, but if you go to YouTube and Google anything you want to do, or not Google it, but in other words, put in anything you want, like arm lifts, like core exercises, like hip exercises, you will have more than you know what to do with. I found one recently I like a lot. Her name is Deborah Atkinson. Her channel on YouTube is Flipping 50. In other words, age 50, she's working with people who are in their 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, aware that we're not in our 20s or 30s and not able maybe to do things as quickly. That's actually how I hurt my knee. I was doing a lunge series, a leg and hip series, but they were moving too fast. And I did a lateral lunge, a side lunge, and then came back too quickly and twisted my knee. And God, that was months ago. So you want something that is at your speed, appropriate to you. Take a look at Flipping 50. She has 184 viewers, and she's been into exercise physiology for more than, well, for almost 40 years. Also, Eileen Kopsoftis, EILEEN KOPSOFTIS. She is a physical therapist who specializes in helping people move past pain. Her connection online is havinglifelongwellness.com, and you can find out the things that she offers, havinglifelongwellness.com. Well, I think that is it for now. I could go on and on and on about movement. I know that it's one of the most important things that I do, and I'll repeat myself. Set yourself up for something and set it up on a regular basis. Decide that you're going to get morning light in your eyes as soon as you possibly can, because by getting outside, you set your circadian rhythm. By exercising as soon as you can, you set your circadian clock. Just like eating meals on a regular basis, you set your circadian clock, and it can get your entire processes done for the day in such a way that your body has expectations and it works like a fine-tuned machine. I think that's all I've got to say. I'd love to see you here again. The next one will be R for rest and stress management. Boy, is that a long subject, but we'll touch on some of the things that anybody can adopt in short order. And I'll wish you a great day. Have a great day, because I know I'm going to. Bye-bye.